Hey, do you have a friend that always seems to choose the wrong person and it never seems to work out? And you ever wonder why that is? Well, today that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about why your friend, I'm sure you've got people that you know, maybe even people in your family, that continue to choose the wrong person and it never seems to work out. I'm George Tabb. I'm the Motivated Rider. If life's a journey, then the Motivated Rider wants to empower you through your life's journey. And so today I want you to understand what that is. I'm also a mental health therapist. I have a private practice where I see clients virtually and in person. And so not only am I speaking from my own personal experiences, I'm also speaking from the perspective of clients that I've served. And so first, let's dive into how you choose a partner. Now, a lot of people think that you choose a partner kind of logically, and you have a checklist, and you say, do they have a job? Do they have good credit? Do they own their own home? Do they make good decisions? It's not that way at all. So, and one of the things that we are seeing, and this is probably a generational shift that we're having, is the whole swipe, the dating apps, pop the balloon. We're seeing this, what they call the swipe culture. And so, and it's where these gut impulse decisions are being made. And what you hear people say is, I don't feel that spark. I don't feel that flutter, right? And they say things like that. And they say, this person just, doesn't do it for me, right? We've got all these shows now. We've got, Love is Blind. We've got, Married at First Sight. We got 90 Day Fiance. We got Love After Lockup. We've got all these shows. And if you watch some of these shows, one thing that you will see is there is a common thread. And that is the common thread. It's that spark. And it's not logical. But if the spark was a true measure of the possibility of success in that relationship, why is it that so many relationships don't survive even though they felt the spark? And that's because the spark is more tied to a dysfunction. So the woman that came up with the attachment theory, which is how people show up in relationships and how they react when there's intimacy in a relationship. And the more significant the intimacy, the more that attachment style is going to show up. So what you're seeing now is you're seeing that attachment style, it'll be triggered, and it's just the way it's what you do. So maybe you get anxious, maybe you run and you avoid, maybe you say one thing and do something else. So it's very confusing, which we would consider as a disorganized attachment. So what happens is that spark is actually the emotional brain being triggered and being activated. And it's familiarity. So in other words, if growing up you felt trapped, and then a person came along and said things like, yeah, I like to be in charge and I like to control. Well, that you would think that would make you run. No, no, no. It actually, you're attracted to it because it's what you grew up in and it's what you're familiar with. So it's the familiar. So when people say the spark, it's the familiar. So and the familiar is the dysfunction. So in other words, let's see if we can net this out. So if you grew up in where your family were blue collar workers, right? Well, you would think, and you said, well, I don't want no guys that are, or I don't want any women that are blue collar workers, right? So you might say that. But someone that's not a blue collar worker, you might not be attracted to them because that's unfamiliar to you. So what you'll do is you'll get with a blue collar worker and try to convert them into something that they're not. And that's something that's typical that happens in relationships. What happens is we say, if this person is perfect, if I could just change one thing about them. And so once we get in that relationship and the higher the intimacy, we try to change that person. We try to make them into something that they may not want to morph into, they may not want to change into. So you said, well, George, well, what's the solution? How do I get something different? How do I get someone different? You might have to break your emotional rules. So it would be helpful if you had someone that you can trust, that you can talk to, that's unbiased, right? Sometimes your friends can be helpful. If you have married friends, that could be helpful. Having a married friend where you could kind of run things by, because sometimes your single friends will see the same thing that you see. And so your married friends might be helpful. They might give you a little more insight. And obviously, like a relationship coach or a relationship or a therapist that focuses on relationships, obviously that can be helpful. I'm a big proponent of that. So what if you broke your rules? What if there's someone that's interested in you? And isn't this interesting? So the person that's interested in you, you're not interested in them, right? Isn't that funny how that happens? And it's because of your emotional brain. So we have an image of a person that we feel like would be our person. And when someone comes along and they don't match up emotionally, and a lot of this stuff is just unspoken, we would really have to lay out your relationships. That's the thing about being over 40. Over 40, you got some history. And it's easy to say it's their fault. Like I remember I was doing premarital counseling for a couple, and the guy had been married like 3 times. And I said, well, what happened with the first relationship? And he said, we were young. I said, what happened with the second relationship? He said, we grew apart. And I said, well, what happened with the third relationship? He said, she was the wrong woman. So what I realized was, until there's some level of responsibility, until it's you, then you can't grow, because the best ability is responsibility. And so first you want to take responsibility for your own stuff. You got to take responsibility. You don't have to, but if you want to grow, and the number one killer in the United States is not cancer. It's not diabetes. It's not heart attack. It's loneliness. And what was cool in your 20s and 30s, when you start getting in your 40s and you got medical appointments and they say things like, who's going to bring you to your colonoscopy? When you need somebody to drive for you, I think you're gonna want someone there for you. So this is important to resolve. This is just as important as our careers. This is just as important as our finances. Because typically what we do, the things that we ignore and prolong and not pay attention to, will be the things that will cost us. So in other words, we make the money, we gain the money, and then you're gonna spend the money on your health. So you may build the wealth, but you'll spend it on your health as you get older. And loneliness is one of the biggest killers. Loneliness. So this relationship stuff, it's helpful. Now, some of you probably are very comfortable being by yourself and living by yourself. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the rest of us. Okay, so I learned early on that I need someone. I need a partner. And so we're in this era where everybody's, people are like, well, I don't need a partner. I can do this on my own. And I promise you, you can do it on your own, but it's a lonely journey. So I would encourage you to dig into this and try to get a better understanding and look at your history, okay? And look at the commonality in your history of partners that you've chosen. Okay? And so the answer is, go against what you would typically do. Okay? So that might be helpful. All right? And so get you a married friend. You need somebody that's married. Okay? Ideally that's in a relationship where, they're content. Okay? And then it would be helpful, relationship coach, find your therapist. You need someone who's non-judgmental, who don't really know your history and can lay things out and look at the commonality. Okay? So thanks for listening. This is George Tabbs. I'm the Motivated Rider. Please like, subscribe, comment. If there's something else you want to see me discuss or you want to see me talk about, I love doing this. This is a dream come true for me. So God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.